So, do I do it?
Welcome back.
We're back, the Do I Do It podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are here for episode 7. We took a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah, we went back home to
We
Canada.
went to Canada for a couple weeks, visited some family. And then after that, we realized, because we had pre-recorded a bunch of episodes before we left so that we could keep a steady flow of episodes going. But we realized that we needed to kind of regroup a little bit.
Yeah.
We wanted to get our feet kind of firmly planted on the ground with the way that we wanted to run the podcast, the look, the feel, and just kind of get a better system in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were going to like try and like put episodes out while we were on vacation, and that very clearly like turned into like this isn't like the level of effort that we want. And now that we're kind of like, we have a sense of what this project looks like, I think we're looking to like fine tune things.
So we've been coming up with so many ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, just to kind of tease a couple of things, we're going to be making an announcement next week of another way that you can get kind of involved in the podcast, kind of keep going with that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some amazing things happening over the next kind of month or so. And we'll be, like I said,
you'll see on Instagram.
So follow us on
media.
Instagram, TikTok, that kind of thing, and you'll be able to keep up to date. But the other thing too, and you may notice in this introduction, but we've upgraded our camera.
Yeah. Pretty major upgrade.
It's so good. In a very Do I Do It fashion, we really bootstrapped the beginning of this project. It was like kind of take off and go. So we were recording all the episodes and all the intros on an iPhone 10. Now I think the 17 is coming out this year.
So we've got a proper camera.
So we've got a proper camera now. And so we're really excited about that. So you'll start to notice that in the full episodes if you're watching it in a couple of weeks, because these are the pre-recorded episodes.
The other thing is the intro.
The intro.
Which just played.
If you didn't hear the difference, go back
and listen to the old episodes.
Theo has been doing so much work on that, and it sounds so good.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. So it's like a real song now. Yeah.
But we're so excited that you're tuning in. We will be, like I said, making some announcements coming soon. So follow us on Instagram. That's like the main one that we're going to be making most of our announcements on. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and enjoy episode 7 with Max Lukas, tattoo artist extraordinaire.
He's fantastic. Honestly, his work, you'll have to take a look. For one, part of the video, if you're watching it, we do post a couple, or we add a couple in the video about his work. But really, go take a look at his socials. And if you're in London and you're into his work, he's taking bookings, so definitely take a look. But it's super interesting guy.
I might have to make a booking with him.
I agree.
Max, if you're listening, hopefully you are. Might see you soon.
Amazing. With no further ado, enjoy the episode, and thank you so much for tuning in. When did you get your first tattoo?
I got something in my friend's kitchen when I think I was just shy of 18. And I didn't really think it through. I just kind of just like winged it and just got something for the sake of it. And then I didn't start getting like sort of bigger pieces until like a couple of years down the line, because I was sort of worried about getting jobs and stuff like that, because obviously back then there was a bit of a stigma with obviously being tattooed and getting a sort of a job and stuff like that. And at that point as well, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, so I played it safe. And then it was kind of like just snowballed from there, I'd say.
That's always how it goes, I think, with tattoos. Like I've never talked to somebody, I can't think of any, like everyone I know is like they get one and then they get another one a little later, and then it's like, and then it just goes like until you're got sleeves and that. And that's the same, like I have 3 tattoos and
I have 5.
You've got 5.
But you keep saying, he keeps saying I'm overdue for a tattoo. I need another.
I truly am overdue. It's, I mean, they're expensive, but like well worth it.
Yeah. It's an investment. I mean, the thing is it's a piece of art that you carry with you all the time.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, okay, what did you want to do when you were younger? So, like, I want to know the whole kind of before you became a tattoo artist.
So, growing up, I had sort of like, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. My parents wanted me to go into a job that was like, maybe like more academic. So I, when I left school, I went to college and I did public services, which is essentially for like police work and stuff like that. Because at the time I wanted to be a forensics photographer, because I was really into my photography and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. And then I found out that for me to do forensics photography, I would have to join the police, which then would be, it just snowballed into like kind of like a very, very long-winded application for me to get to that point. So for a little while after that, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. So I ended up just doing bar work for a little while. So I was working late nights, and then I then stumbled into doing retail. And then it was almost like I came across becoming a tattoo artist. It was not something that I ever thought that I would do. Even when I started getting tattoos, like I had no idea that that is something that I would be doing in like 10 years time or something. So I kind of just like fell into tattooing as well. Like my artist at the time, I just casually was like, oh, like, you know, would you take on an apprentice? And he was like, yeah, if they can, you know, if they, you know, whatever. And I was like, oh, well, you could take on me. And he was like, can you draw? I was like, I think so.
Yeah.
And yeah, he looked through my work and stuff and took me on as an apprentice. I think I was like 23 maybe, 22, 23 at the time. And then, yeah, I just kind of just fell into it, and it almost felt like that was like my little comfort zone. That's where I belong, you know? And it's just been uphill from there, really.
So I'm interested in the drawing part.
Yeah,
did you grow up drawing? And
I was constantly drawing. Funnily enough, like I didn't actually pass any of my art qualifications, so I failed my art GCSE. I went to art college for a couple of years, got kicked out of that, so I didn't get any qualifications for that, and now I draw on people for a living, basically. Yeah.
Wow. And so, like, is that typically for somebody who's looking to get started with tattooing? Because obviously you're not coming in to a studio with tattoos on people, or does that happen?
Yeah, so ideally, like if I was personally looking for an apprentice, I'd want someone who shows that they're dedicated to like the craft per se. Like I want someone who would be drawing constantly in different styles, and it's all well and good being able to draw, but there's like a knack to obviously being able to design something that can be put on skin. And that's something that I've only really been recently learning about it, especially with my realism and stuff like that. It's very easy to kind of fall shy of what is required for a tattoo on skin. Like showing your progression as well as an artist is really important, I would say. So I remember like I just spent like a full day just like taking different photos of like my eyes, and I was drawing my eyes in different positions and like repeated it. You know, I had like 4 or 5 drawings of the same image, and like there was tiny little bits that I'd changed. You know, then I started drawing like portraits, pencil studies, stuff like that. My portfolio wasn't like amazing, because I hadn't just sort of approached like a random studio. So I was quite lucky in that sense that I didn't really have to have like a really strong portfolio. But for someone who was seeking an apprenticeship, I feel like having a strong portfolio is definitely important. And obviously now there's like iPads and stuff. Like I'm constantly using my iPad for my designs. It would be nice to see someone who can draw on the iPad, but also draw on paper as well. I think it's very important to be able to use different materials, because tattooing is it's quite similar to obviously putting pencil to paper, but at the same time, like, it's a permanent thing. It's not something that you can kind of rub out. So using like oil paints and stuff like that is really good for obviously seeing like color theory as well, like if you're looking at for doing like color realism as well. Even like sort of traditional styles and stuff, like looking at the artists that essentially paved the way, and then being able to sort of recreate that as well is I think it would be important.
You made a good point too, that it is permanent on the body, right? And I mean, like, people get it removed, but still it's not, it's not, that's not easy, so making sure that as a tattoo artist, I mean, that feels like a lot of responsibility in my head.
It is, yeah.
How do you manage that?
I mean, it's nerve-wracking at the beginning, but now it's almost like muscle memory, I think. And I think being able to draw a design on paper, again, like back to the whole like iPad thing as well. With the iPad, you can just erase it, whereas like on paper, like you have to trust your hand with the pencil onto the paper. So it's quite good to be able to have that in your sort of inventory, I would say, being able to draw something that's essentially permanent on paper, and then obviously, but yeah, it is quite nerve-wracking. At the time, like when I first started, I was tattooing a lot of things like on myself.
Really?
To practice, and then I started getting people that like were friends of mine as well to get tattooed. And then it's kind of like, I guess it's like riding a bike, like you start off, you're shaky, and then you carry on, and then you kind of get there without even remembering how you got there.
Yeah, that kind of, that progress that you don't see, right?
Yeah,
it's
100%,
kind of like you can remember when you were this, but then now you're like, oh wow, I'm here.
Yeah,
like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you wouldn't like necessarily remember your first tattoo that you put on a stranger or something like that.
You know what? Like the only thing I really remember from like back then, it was such a whirlwind of my life was just like everywhere. Like I was working full-time retail, but also working, of an evening and stuff like that. So I do remember like having a few sort of apprentice pieces on people and stuff, and it's really cool because a lot of people that I'm friends with and stuff, they've still got like some of my first pieces.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's cool to see that, and like they're still there and they still look decent. So
Well, and that is because it's a living piece of work that you can see on somebody that like helps them to reflect themselves or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's one of the most unique parts about tattoo as an art form.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I have, like I said, 5 tattoos, and like it's my first tattoo I was terrified to get because it was like, this is going to be permanent. My family wasn't big into tattoos. I actually didn't tell my dad about the first tattoo I got. My sister ratted me out, so rude.
You got matching.
Her and I got matching tattoos, and she ratted me out, and I was like, "Girl, what?" Anyways, because I was like, I wasn't gonna have to say anything. Anyways, and then, but I really like paved the way on that, because now my next sister, because I have 3 sisters, but so not the next one, but the one after that. Now she's got like 6 or 7 tattoos. She just keeps going to get new ones and whatever.
And we were with her when
she got her first one,
but she didn't get it because she chickened out.
Yeah, because we took her to a tattoo expo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were like,
and that was when I got my first tattoo.
Yeah.
Was my serotonin tattoo.
But I feel like there's so many stories that are attached with tattoos too. Like these ones that we got, we were in Peru, and our close friend that we were with, he said, I either need a beer or a new tattoo. And I said, whichever one we see first. And so we saw this tattoo place. It was very clean, very good. Like we were, we double checked. That was, we weren't going to walk into craziness. But it was, I don't know. I feel like that's like you're part of somebody's like really memorable experience, you know.
I think that like, sorry, I don't mean to,
no, go for it,
to interrupt you, but I think that like this kind of goes along with that, because you were mentioning the sort of fear at the beginning of it, and then you've mentioned like the taboo, especially with jobs and that. And then I think that like, I mean, in my experience, we were talking about like when you get a tattoo, it kind of one leads to another. Like it feels like the more you do, the less kind of stigmatizing it becomes for yourself, obviously. Like even your first tattoo is like quite hidden. But I guess that like, I kind of just want to like think more, but like, what is it? Why is there a stigma with tattoos?
I guess it's like deemed unprofessional. I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people have outdated views that they think that if you have tattoos and like you don't have a good job, or like you don't really care, you know. But the reality is that like these tattoos are like meticulously planned out, you know. People pay good money to get these tattoos now, and you know, regardless of whether you have tattoos, I don't think it depicts on whether you're good enough for a job or whether you can, you know, your capability for just life in general. It has changed a lot recently, I would say. You know, there's, you know, you can go into certain places, and there's people covered in tattoos, and they're still working alongside people that have got no tattoos. You know what I mean? Still doing a quality job. But yeah, I guess it's more like people's like kind of stereotypes of people that obviously have tattoos. I get it all the time. You know, people judge me. You know, but rightly so. You know, I look like this. You know, so yeah. And I mean, like I said, they're very meticulously planned out. You know, there's some people that I know that have had the tattoo that they want as a screensaver on their phone for like over a year.
Yeah.
And then they know that like, because they're not bored of that screensaver, they're like, oh, I you know, it'll look good as a tattoo. Yeah. So they get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's some people that kind of just wing it, and they're very, you know, whatever, I want to get this tattoo now, which is cool, you know.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to do either way. I mean, I have one here, and it's in Greek, and I like went to people, like I first of all went on the internet and like looked up, made sure that it was correctly spelt, and you know, whatever, and then I like asked people who could speak Greek, and I was like, does this say that, you know, and like I designed it and I planned it out with the artist and that, and like was again like very, and it's deeply meaningful, like it's over my heart.
I think that's, I don't know, I even noticed like in this conversation, like we immediately make it personal, and we're like, oh, like tattoos, like we have tattoos that we really care about and whatever, and I feel like that's something that has become more common. So when you first started to like become a tattoo artist, go for an apprenticeship and that kind of thing, what was the reaction from the people around you, from your family and friends and that kind of thing?
It was supportive, because people knew that I was creative. But it was almost like there is obviously the chance to mess up a tattoo and stuff like that. So that was a bit of a worry for people, which, you know, fair enough. You know, I'd be worried for anybody who was just starting tattooing. But no, I think everyone was very supportive of it. And also like I said before, like my friends were getting tattoos from me like when I first started. They still get tattoos from me now, you know, so it goes to show that people actually like, you know, think I'm worthy of being like tattooing them and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time, I think as it's evolved, I think it's a lot more of an accepted like job and an accepted kind of form of art, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the other thing is that your style is very unique. I mean, first of all, the balloons,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. That is so cool. And then you do a lot of photorealism and that kind of thing. What has inspired you and brought you to your style?
So a lot of my realism stuff, like my bigger stuff, it's very much revolved around like music or films. And I'm obsessed with films. I have been for years. It's like my little hyper focus. And being autistic, it's like I found it was almost like that was my gateway into enjoying what I did for work. And it's really cool as well because like I'll draw up like a piece that I really want to do from like a film or like a TV series, and somebody will take that, and we could be polar opposite people, but we have at least one thing that joins us, which is pretty cool. So we have something to like have a conversation about, and like it's just nice. But I think for a long time I didn't really know where I wanted to go with tattooing. I started out doing a lot of sort of like bold lines, a lot of traditional sort of style stuff, and then it wasn't until I moved on from the shop that I started my apprenticeship at, and my boss at the time, I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing, and I said like I want to try a portrait, and he was like, if you think you can do it, then just do it. And I had a customer come in, and she wanted a little Pennywise tattoo, and I remember putting it on the skin, and I was like, I can do this. And it wasn't until I got to the actual face. The face was probably the size of like a 50p coin, and I was just like, oh, I've messed up here. Like, this is tiny. Luckily, I pulled it off, and I posted it, and then I then had more people wanting like portraits, and then I had people that wanted like bigger things, and then it kind of just escalated, which was really cool. And I think that was really rewarding for me, because I felt like when I first started I didn't really have like a style, and then once I had more and more people coming to me for like pop culture kind of stuff, I felt like I'm enjoying this now. Not that I didn't enjoy it at first, but like I found like my little niche, and that was like it almost like clicked into place.
Okay, and that's like after how long?
This was after a couple of years.
Really?
I think I left the shop that I was apprenticing it at, and I moved to this other shop, and from there it was like so I've been doing portraits for like maybe 4 or 5 years now, maybe I would say.
That's amazing. Well, and when I first showed Theo was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh yeah.
Like his reaction was like, "That's incredible."
And they're incredibly unique.
Yeah.
Like really, really. Yeah. I think that there's lots of artists, like tattoo artists, that do a great job, and there's like kind of a standard. Like whenever I look to get a tattoo, especially when we've moved here and I've been looking around, there's a standard for like, that's a tattoo I'd put on my body. That's good. Like it looks, the artist obviously knows what they're doing. But then every so often you see, it's the exact same with like painting and other types of visual art. You go to a gallery or you go somewhere and you see paintings that they're well done and they're nice. But then there's that one that like you kind of go, whoa, like, that's, So I thought that, they kind of compliment, like I feel weird, but yeah, no, I did genuinely think that when Elena showed me your work.
Yeah.
I want to, it's not every day that you get to sit and chat with like a really professional tattoo artist. So like I have some questions that I've like always had as like burning questions. What are all, is there, when you study this, right? So you study it as an apprentice with an artist, and that, do you go through any kind of like training regarding like each of these styles, or are there traditions that
I wouldn't say it's like, no apprenticeship is like academically structured. it's kind of just like fate with who you fall into with your apprenticeship. But for me, like, my the guy that taught me how to tattoo, he kind of does everything. He does a lot of black and grey realism and scripts and stuff like that. So at the time, I didn't really think that I'd ever get into that side of things. And yeah, I guess it's like, when you're in the tattooing world, like, you, especially with Instagram is insane for finding artists from all over the world. Like, then you look at their stuff and you're like, oh, this style's really cool, and you kind of go into like a little, like, you just kind of just like funnel into like different styles, and like there's a lot of people that cross cross the lines with it. So I've seen people that do like very traditional style work, but with like a realistic kind of twist.
Oh, cool.
Or like they cross like color realism with like traditional work as well, and there's loads of different avenues with it, which is really cool. But yeah, you don't particularly like, you don't study them, per se, but I would say that exploring the different styles, I would say is a really good way to learn, because you see these styles, and like, if you enjoy them, like, give them a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd say it's just one of them things, I think, that like you can kind of do behind the scenes, and I think that was really important for me, was finding this like little niche of like pop culture kind of stuff, but also at the same time with like a realistic twist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that you're making a good point with that too, is that like it is an art form that you can kind of keep playing and pushing your boundaries and stepping outside of what you're used to. So then that way you can start to feel it out a little bit.
100%.
I feel like that's a way to do it, right? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like how musicians will kind of step into different genres and that kind of thing. Do you ever have people come to you with tattoos that you're like, this isn't really my style, or how does
all
that?
The time?
Yeah,
all the time. And I personally think it's important for an artist to, if somebody comes to you with a piece that you don't think that you can execute to your best of your ability, or if you know someone, like another artist, that would be able to execute it even better, I do think it's really important to have that relationship with your customer, or like potential customer, where you can direct them to different people that that would do a better job, I would say. A lot of the time, like, I get a lot of customers that come to me that I've done like sort of full sleeves on, and they're like, I want this done like as different style than what I do. And I say, like, I don't think I can, I could give it a go, but I would, like, morally, I feel like I wouldn't be able to give it my all and like do the best job at it. So I direct them to other people, and a lot of the time they're like, oh no, I have faith in you, but I'm like, yeah, but like, morally, I feel like you should go to this person. And I think having that relationship and having that honesty with your customers is so important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think like people would appreciate, like, I'd appreciate that from somebody.
Yeah, 100%.
Who,
What's so interesting is, because on our podcast a lot we talk about self-doubt in the process and that kind of thing. I feel like the question is a little bit different with, I mean, we can ask you about self-doubt for sure, but I also think because you're getting immediate feedback on such a regular basis, and the projects that you work on and that kind of thing, there's a little bit like, there's obviously time to have self-doubt, but I feel like it's a lot quicker of a feedback loop and that kind of thing. So what do you think about that? Do you experience that self-doubt? What does that look like for you?
I wouldn't say I suffer from like experience like self-doubt as such, but like, it's more like, what's the word, like, it's almost like disheartening at times. Like, you'll put a lot of effort into a piece and you put it online, and like no one really gives any feedback to it, and you're like, well, am I just bad at tattooing or something, but then like you kind of like give your head a bit of a wobble, and you're like, okay, like, but there's been times I look at pieces and I'm like, oh, like, I really want to like get them to come back once it's healed and darken some like pieces up, sort of add something to it and stuff like that. And I think now it's more, I would say it's more like not environmental, but like more like on social media and stuff like that. I think I experience self-doubt more on like social media rather than like with my day-to-day like work and stuff like that. I think it's because I think Instagram and like TikTok and stuff like that and social media in general is a double-edged sword, really, isn't it? Because it's like it's really good to get customers and to get your work seen, but if the algorithm doesn't treat you right, you're not going to get seen.
Yeah.
And like it's almost like it kind of blows back in your face, and you're like, oh.
So is that really important for tattoo artists and like?
Yeah, I would say like there when I first started, up until like a few years ago, I think the algorithm treated tattoo artists really well. And then the algorithms are now constantly changing. You know, like a couple of years ago, like you could put a photo up of a tattoo and you get a lot of like reaction to it, but now it's like very much like reels, and they want to see, they want to get to know you as a person. And I'm just not that sort of person, unfortunately, and it's like I'm still trying to get myself into that kind of mindset that like I am my brand at the end of the day, and people do have to market themselves really well, you know.
It's kind of one of those things that now so many jobs, you have to do your job, but you also have to be a content creator. You have to do all
that's
these
the
things,
thing.
you know.
Yeah, you kind of need to sell your soul to social media at times, and I'm like,
And I completely get the double-edged sword thing too, because that's also when you put something out and you've spent time on it, you've put effort into it and that kind of thing, and you put it out and you don't necessarily get the like very quick recognition that you're looking for and that you've seen other people get or you've gotten on a different reel or whatever, then it can be very disheartening very quickly. You know, we've definitely had that before too, where we've put something out and we've been like, oh, we love this video.
Yeah.
Actually, when we first started, we put out 2 promo videos being like, we're starting this podcast. And the first one, we were like, this is awesome. The second one, we were like, this is hilarious. People are going to love this. And yeah, the second one was
It just didn't. Like it was
fine.
It
But
got
like,
some views, but it didn't, like, we kind of both expected it to just like
be as good as the first one.
Yeah.
And we were like,
and
oh,
it just
okay.
didn't. And the thing is, like, because you mentioned the algorithm and that, like, I wonder how much, because it's one thing to be like aiming to get people's like attention and like organically getting people's interest, and like I feel like gauging in like understanding engagement based on how people are reacting is one thing, but then also like trying to like reckon with this computer like like thing that just doesn't seem as fair, because it's like, oh, if I put something out, like whatever it is, and I'm not getting the reaction, but it's had the exposure, but just people are like, yeah, I'm not interested, then I'm like, okay, fine, like people aren't interested. But if it's like, oh no, like social media, I didn't do it exactly to the right formula, then it's like, well, what if people liked it? Like, what if people would have liked it and they didn't see it?
I think it's at the same time, it's like, you know, when you as a person, when you're scrolling through social media, like you don't like every single post, you don't interact with every single post you see. You just need something that's going to catch your eye, and everyone's taste is different. So when I started doing TikTok like a couple of years back, and I posted like a random video, and it just went viral. It went insane, and I got a lot of people off the back of that, which was pretty cool. But like, I think for a long time, like I said, like I was sort of self-doubting, but then now I'm like, it's just the algorithm. Like, and I think it's important to remember that like as long as your customer is happy, you're happy, and you know the work comes back like healed really nicely, it doesn't matter. And as long as you can kind of keep busy as well, which is obviously important. And I think a lot of people don't realize that like as an artist, it's, you know, your customers are coming to you, they're paying a lot of money to sit with you all day, let's say. It's an experience. It's not just a service, and it's a full-blown experience. And if someone has a mediocre experience but they get a really good tattoo, they're still gonna kind of remember my experience wasn't amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think treating your customers with respect, because at the end of the day they're paying your bills.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
And I guess in a way it's quite different from like other kind of creative jobs, because it's like, you know, even if you did like, I don't know, like film or something like that, like you get a lot of people that obviously watch the film and enjoy it, but like they're not sat with you personally, you know.
Right.
So I think it is important to have that kind of relationship, because at the end of the day they're trusting you with their skin, you know.
They're the canvas.
100%. Yeah.
It's such a unique art form. Like I said it before, but like, I mean, I think about even when you write or whatever, or when I write, or we're playing music or whatever, even playing music in front of people, it's like a different experience, because like people aren't so involved in the process, but you, like with tattooing, I mean, you're touching, you know what I mean? It's a thing, right? So it's
like sorry, I keep cutting you off.
I know.
don't
No, that's okay.
Did you want to finish?
Well, I was just going to say that, like, that experience part of it, you make a really good point, because, and they have it on their skin all the time. If they didn't have a very great experience sitting with you, that's something that might impact the way that they feel about the tattoo moving forward too. So I don't know. I feel like the only comparable thing that I feel like is maybe like getting my hair done.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, then like that's
Yeah.
an experience, and I could love my hair after, but if I didn't enjoy the time with the hairstyle, you know what I mean? Actually, trying to find a hairstylist here when we moved was a nightmare, because I was like, I just love my hairstylist so much.
Yeah.
That is,
you
like,
have a
you know,
relationship.
yeah,
you still
yeah.
go back.
Yeah, I actually I booked my appointment for when we're visiting,
Amazing.
because I was like, I
That's
can't
dedication.
see anyone else. Yeah, I know. I'm
In a
just like, I'm
different
flying
continent.
back to Canada.
Well, I wanted to like ask, do you see it as, because again we think about like the person, the customer being the canvas of the piece. Is it like, you know, you finish your art, you finish the piece, and then the piece of art gets up and walks away and like says goodbye? Like is it like that?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I think for me anyway, for like my design process and stuff, like I kind of make sure that like the design that I do is like something that I'd really want on my skin. So it's almost like a bit of jealousy. Like if I do a really cool piece on someone, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that.
Well, and you only have so much real estate. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
know,
Like,
100%. Yeah, I'm running out. Yeah.
That's so interesting. It's like to think about like the jealousy of that. Like, oh man, go on. I'm trying to think. Sorry, like
reflecting.
I shouldn't start talking until I've formed my.
Oh, it's so
thought.
funny. You see the wheels turning with him. You'll just be like, oh, it's coming. The question's going to happen. Oh, I love that.
I want to go back to that idea of the canvas walking away. Like, is there, because I'm just really intrigued with that. Because there's no, like, I can't think of another art form where that's the case.
I mean, like when people buy someone's painting, for example, most of the time they'll have prints already made, though.
Yeah.
And like, you know, but it's different. That's very different, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you like how similar is it? Because I imagine with your designs, like you have the design on like either on your computer or on a piece of paper or something. But is there a difference for you, like personally, for the realization of that design on the skin versus do you think of it that way in terms of like there's the concept and then the actual thing?
Yeah, and I think it's really rewarding seeing like your design like actually on skin. I think it's such a cool experience. And even like doing full sleeves as well, when like piecing things together and make everything flow and seeing how it comes back healed and stuff like that, I think it's really cool to be able to see like how your creativity and your ideas put into life, I guess. Yeah, I'd say that's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
How do you channel the emotion in the art?
I guess it's just a case of like, it's just kind of like almost like a script, let's say. So like people, they want something that's like a villain from a film, so the whole piece is going to have to look quite dark and menacing and stuff like that. So I guess it's almost like, so as I, well, like, while I do like a design, I go through countless drafts of like putting things together and stuff like that. And then I guess it's a bit like you're doing a painting, like you kind of step back and you're like, I need to do something in this section, or like this needs to be tweaked and stuff like that. And then like it's not until you step back and you're like you kind of know it's done. So I guess it's a case of like getting the feel for it before even putting it onto skin is really important, and like understanding like the kind of the theme and the narrative that the customer wants through a tattoo, I guess.
So have you ever done a character where you haven't seen the movie?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, really?
And I'm really ashamed to say like some of the films
I'm
that I
exposing
do,
you.
and I'm like, I've not seen that film, man. Like, but I can kind of, I can kind of vibe and I can get like a rough idea of what it is. Like, it's good to have customers that obviously trust what they want me to do. But at the same time, it's like, it's even more rewarding when there's like, it's something that I've seen and I love. Do you know what I mean? It's really cool like that,
No, that's really cool. Well, and I feel like you had mentioned this before, like connecting over a piece of art.
Yeah.
Like connecting over a film or over music or whatever. Yeah. Because I feel like that's something that like I've made friends because we love the same music or whatever, right? And it's that initial like kind of easy connection.
Yeah. No, I feel like the way that I see tattoos personally, and I imagine everyone has, you said this earlier, like some people put a lot of thought into it and other people like sort of like my best friend Charles, he'll hopefully watch this. He just like, he has his kind of philosophy around tattoos is like deliberately getting things that are just like silly kind of thing and like witty and kind of like he has
well, when we got our tattoos in Peru, he got one that's a llama. It's a llama and it says llama stay, and it's like
but it goes like he's got a stick of butter that like with wings, and so it's a butterfly, and like, but that's his kind of like vibe.
I love it.
And he's tried to like talk me into doing shit like that too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely not. Like
I've had customers that are like that, and I think I love them. I think they're brilliant. And that's a really good thing about tattooing is like you get all walks of life coming through the door. You get people that like are very like what's the word, like spontaneous with their tattoos. Like they're like, oh, I want this, and I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. But yeah, like the funny tattoos are even better. And I really enjoy that because like it's like it kind of goes to show that like it has evolved, and like you don't need to have everything planned out. Like you live once, do you know what I mean? Just get that silly tattoo that you like.
Yeah.
So what would you say to like the folks sorry, what would you say to the people, what would you say to my parents who that's who I'm thinking of, is like who go and say like, oh, that's permanent, and will you like that when you're 80 and when it's this and that, like
actually that argument about like, oh, what about when you're older and wrinkly and that kind of thing, I feel like that's maybe just like an unawareness of how you age. I don't know.
But also at the same time it's like everyone else is going to be wrinkly and old. Like I'm just going to have tattoos. I'm going to look even better, do you know what I mean? I guess it's a case of like, it's not everyone's cup of tea, being covered in tattoos it's not everyone's cup of tea. And
not everyone needs to get tattoos.
No, 100%.
I feel like
it's
that's
like
like
a
what you're,
requirement,
like that's such a good point too, is that like you're not here to be like, hey, I need to tattoo every single person.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I just offer a service and people take it,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the thing too, is that now so many people have tattoos and like the experiences are so different, and like being able to put something that you care about on your skin, or that's just like a memory or whatever it is, I feel like that's just like it becomes a conversation piece
Yeah.
too. Has that happened for you where you've like gone somewhere and people have started a conversation because of your tattoos?
Yeah. I guess it's like I kind of asked for it. You know, I've got tattoos everywhere. Do you know what I mean? I can't get away with just like, you know, just passing people and not getting looks. You know. But I do get a lot of people that kind of, and a lot of artists get this. Like, you know, you just want to hang out with your friends, and someone comes up to you and they're like, "Oh, like, are you a tattoo artist?" And then like, sometimes you say yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, like, I really want to get this tattoo," and you're like, this again.
You're like, I don't have my
Yeah, so-
ink and my
Didn't
needles.
bring the
like,
ink, sorry.
A lot of the time, I tell people I'm a barber,
Oh,
and they don't really say anything about it, and they're like, "Okay, cool." But I remember going to a friend's barbecue, and one of his workmates were there, and he came up to me and was like, "Oh, what do you do for a job?" And I was like, "I'm a barber." And he took his hat off. He was like, "What can you do with this then?" And I'm like, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh, like, I could kind of like shave it into like, I don't know, like," and I'm like trying to wing it, and he's like, "So where'd you work then?" And I'm like, "Oh no."
Really?
Yeah.
So
and
you should have gone with the tattoo
yeah.
artist. That's hilarious.
And then there was another time as well that I was in my local pub and I was at the bar ordering a drink, and this guy sort of looks over and he's like, "Are you a tattoo artist?" I'm like, "No, mate, I'm a barber." He's like, "Oh, you really look like an artist in the shop that I go to." And I was like, "Where's the shop?" He was like, "Sid Cup." And I was like, "That is me."
I like that you copped to it. Then you were like, yeah okay.
I was like, that is me. I was like, "I'm really sorry. Like, I don't like telling people I'm a tattoo artist because I just get the same spiel, you know."
Yeah.
He was like, "No, it's understandable." I
That's
was
so
like, "Oh, no."
funny. I love that. It's almost like you're living like a Superman life where you like take the glasses off and then all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah, I try. Yeah, because a lot of the time, like, people have conversations with you about being a tattoo artist and they don't book.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there and you're this is like your downtime. Like, you kind of want to do your own thing. Like, you're not in work mode. Do you know what I mean? And like, they're talking to you about your job, and like I said, like, I can talk to anyone about my job. Like, I'm happy to, you know, but at the same time, like, I'm not getting paid to, you know. And I know that sounds a bit arrogant, but at the same time, it's like you're, it's not like you can go into like an office or like a shop during their working hours and have a conversation with someone about things and not lead into it. But when you see someone outside of like work hours, like, you're not going to go up to someone who's like works in Tesco and be like, "My club card isn't working. Do you know what I mean? Like, what can I do about it?" Like, you're not going to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think that like you're constantly accessible. So I think it's really important as a tattoo artist is like kind of understanding that like you have like downtime, and it's like, you know, if people want to book with you, like, you know, have business cards, give them a business card, and just say, "Look, like, I'm kind of like, I'm not at work at the moment. Like, just give me a message on Instagram or give me a text or whatever," and I'll, you know, and like I said, 9 times out of 10, they don't even bother.
yeah.
Really?
No, I feel like that's there are a few jobs that come to mind that are like that. Doctors being one is that I feel like
I was gonna say the same.
Like somebody's
Or
like, "Oh, well,
anything
yeah, like my foot
healthcare.
hurts."
Yeah.
Anything healthcare,
Yeah.
I feel like people are like, "Oh, you know, I have this mole. If
Yeah.
you want to like," and they're like, "I don't want to look at the mole."
No.
They're like drinking a beer and it's
Yeah.
like, I'm
Like,
not at work.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like that happens, and then I also feel like I work in marketing, and I've had that happen quite a lot, and I've gotten way better at managing the conversation because, like, if I meet anyone who's starting a business or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, well, what would you suggest for marketing and whatever?" And I'm like, "You know what? Like, if you want to, like, and you want to like move forward with something, like, sometimes I do some freelance work, not very much anymore, but like, let me know." And I'm like, "But I'm gonna be honest with you, I would recommend going to this person instead, or like whatever, you know." And that's what I typically would do because, like, I mean, yeah, it's, you gotta have time off. Otherwise, it's
100%,
like
yeah.
you can constantly.
You're
be
just
on the
constantly
clock.
working,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, like, I'll get home from work and I'm still working, but like, in my eyes, like, I'm still working, but like on my days off, like, I do have my downtime, you know, and I'm quite lucky in that sense that like I've got that kind of that routine and that kind of balance with like personal life and work life as well. That I understand that I do need my downtime and stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about that on the podcast before, but that rest is so important, especially for creative people and people who are doing creative things as their job, because if you don't have that rest, it's very hard to stay creative and inspired and that kind of thing. So what kinds of things do you do to like stay like in your downtime, but then also stay inspired? And
Yeah, how do you keep that balance?
Just being quite like, I will go onto like Pinterest, let's say, and I'll just like scroll through and I'll find like images that I like, and then I think, oh, I could turn this into a design. If I've got a bit of like time that I want to sit there and do like a few designs, I'm happy to do them. Do you know what I mean? Not necessarily for anybody. It's also as well, I'd say it's important to look at other people's work as well, and not like take inspiration as such, but like look at how people have done this, and or like this kind of area of the body. And like, oh, I really like how they've done this up the leg or whatever, and like you can kind of introduce that into your own work. You don't necessarily have to act on it, but just like saving it and just like remembering, just little whiteboard in your brain, just like kind of just write whatever. But yeah, I think it's important to also network with artists as well, because at the end of the day, like, you're all in the same industry. You can bounce off people. I think it's important as well to like go to conventions as well. Whenever I go to a convention, I feel really inspired and like uplifted after, because I'm looking at all these people's work and I'm like, yeah, like I want to be as good as that one day. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's important to kind of network, take inspiration, and just sort of balance out your creativity in different areas, rather than just like only focusing on like doing designs. Like, there's ways to be able to build up your creativity and like inspire yourself without just like focusing on one thing.
When you're talking about like being inspired by other artists and like going to conventions and that, and like this idea of that's, I want to get that good, how does that kind of translate to your definition of success? And like what we've kind of talked about with all of our guests really is that like the idea of success is an incredibly subjective individual thing. Like there's no one definition of success. So like for you, what does that kind of...
I guess success for like tattoo artists, it's like everyone's different. Like some people find success at being like having their own shop, or like winning awards, and all of these, again, like, it's subjective. I think for me, it's like my goal really is to like for someone to look at a piece that I've done on somebody and go, oh, did Max do that? To me, that's success. That's putting my personality and my flair into something, and it coming back to me. It's like when you listen to music, like you listen to the background and you're like, oh, that's an instrumental, like this producer did that, and like recognizing that.
Yeah,
I guess it's the same as like a tattoo. Like I see pieces like on Instagram, like I'm scrolling through and I'll see a piece and I know exactly who did it without even looking at the name, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like, do you know what I mean? Or like I'll go to a convention and I'll be looking at someone's work, and then I look up and see their like convention banner saying their name, and I'm like, oh yeah, I follow this guy or whoever.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, success for me, it's like having consistency as well, having like a rewarding client base as well, people that are constantly trusting you, constantly believing in you, giving you free reign and creative freedom, essentially. I think that is my idea of success. Whether I win an award at some point or open my own shop at some point, to me, like, that's like an added bonus. But to me, like, I want my work to get the recognition that I give to other people. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like have enough of a style.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I was saying earlier about like how there's plenty of examples of tattoos that are just they're good.
Yeah.
But then there's the ones that pop.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah. Does it kind of start like, because again you've been doing this for a while, but when you first start, my thought would be like an artist starting out would do like flash pieces or like small pieces just to get going, and then in order to build a name and to build up kind of portfolio, basically you're doing a lot of small. And so like is that how you kind of started as well?
Yeah, just doing sort of smaller pieces.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't jump into like doing big pieces, and like I said, like with the portraits that I was doing at the start, there were smaller pieces, and then like as time went on, like I added things to them or like made them into like bigger pieces, or like, you know, like added like mini scenes in there as well. So yeah, it was never, for me anyway, like kind of like jumped in at the deep end. It was very much like it was a gradual process for me, which I found really really helpful. I'd say
Absolutely.
if I wouldn't say it's like a done thing for like an apprentice to be doing like a full day set of tattoos like straight off the bat. It's something you definitely need to like work up to.
Mm-hmm. And so like when you look back on that, was that at the time when you first started, was that something that you were kind of, were you ever working towards this where you're like, I'm going to do one piece in a day, and like that's the day is one piece of work?
Yeah, I mean at the time, like I said before, like I had no idea what kind of style that I wanted to do. But I think I think breaking my pieces up into like doing like a full day or like, you know, half a day or whatever, I think that definitely was something that came with time and came with the style. And yeah, obviously like understanding how you work as an artist as well. Like some people take 2 or 3 days to do a certain piece, and there's like some people that can do it in like 5 hours, you know. It's dependent on like who you are as an artist, how you like the application of it, just like your routine in general. But I enjoy doing day sits because it's like it's just one customer. It's a lot more chill. And yeah, I kind of just can focus on one particular piece, and just that's that. Yeah,
And then build that relationship too with
100%.
So that, because I'm interested. I mean, for example, for me to focus, I often can't focus for like on one task for longer than like 2 hours. I'm like, that's probably solid, and then I'm like, all right, let's do something else, and then I'll come back. So for a day sit like that, you have to be very very focused. I feel like that's
I would say so. I guess it's different. I think a lot of people think that it's like, in my brain anyway, like it's not like as if you're like painting a wall. It's not like the same process from start to finish. Like I'm doing tiny little pieces, you know, I'm focusing on like the eyes of a portrait 1 minute, and then I'm doing the hair, and then so there's constantly like this constant train of like, it's almost like when we tattoo, like me personally anyway, like I work from the bottom upwards. So if I'm doing like a bigger piece, sometimes like it's a miniature scene, I'm doing that for like a couple of hours, then I move up into the portrait, and then like it's right at the end you like kind of add like little details and stuff like that. So like I said, it's not like painting a wall. Like you're not constantly just doing the same thing. Like you're constantly changing and doing things. So it keeps you stimulated.
for sure.
But I take a break like sort of every hour, just have a little wander around, just kind of stretch, and the customer appreciates it as well.
Yeah, well, there's a pain involved as well. That it's like,
I don't know, tattoos, for those listening, tattoos aren't that painful, in my opinion.
it really depends on where you get it, I think. What is the most painful spot? I'm like, intel.
What that I've had.
Yeah.
I've had the top of my head done. That was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Then I know people that have had the tops of their head done, and they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, what? That really hurt. I've got the base of my fingers.
Is that yeah?
That was horrific.
I believe
Really?
that.
Yeah.
Well, it's so sensitive. I mean,
Okay, don't listen to me. The guy with the least tattoos in the room saying they're
think
not that bad.
I was having this conversation with someone the other day actually, and it's like when you first start getting tattooed, like you get the easy spots like your arm, your leg, you know, here and there, like because they're just like the go-to places. And then when you start getting covered, you kind of run out of like the easy spots, and then you end up having to go over these horrible spots, and that's when you're like, this really fucking hurts.
Oh, really?
kidding. Oh my gosh. My first one was on my sternum. And then my second one was here, which it was super easy.
Yeah.
This one was really easy.
That one you said hurt a lot.
This one.
Yeah.
On the inner arm, like inner bicep. Damn. Like,
I've had script on my inner bicep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so I got it at this tattoo expo that we were talking about earlier. And
Are you gonna tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is crazy. I want your reaction as a
Right,
tattoo
okay.
artist.
Okay.
This is crazy.
so keep in mind, this is like in this like massive event center,
Yeah.
okay? Like whatever. Like the very tall ceilings, whatever, like the
It's an expo.
in expo, yeah. I mean, like the fluorescent lights. You've got it in your mind. Basically, I'm like laying down, getting this tattoo done from this lady, and she's like doing it, whatever. This guy comes up and scares her as she's
Like-
tattooing me, like grabs her.
And like shot like boo like that kind
Yeah,
of thing. Yeah.
like
What?
yeah.
I was standing there because I was like with Elena. I had just about clocked this guy. I was like, "Are you are you
Yeah.
insane?"
And
like,
the lady
and
was
if you
so
saw,
taken
you're wearing
aback.
a long sleeve shirt, but
Yeah.
like the piece, it's like line work.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like- yeah.
Yeah, so it's line work.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know where it is, but I think I have a guess at where there's like a
Yeah.
slight, like, just a little fizzle, you know?
Wild.
Like,
Isn't that
just
insane?
Not cool. Like, have some sense of like where you are.
Yeah.
This poor tattoo artist, and she was really great at everything, but I think she was really, like,
Yeah.
you know, jolted by it because, like, after she was, like, a little tense. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, anyways, crazy story because it was, you know, we were just getting it done. There's lots of people around and whatever, but I feel like at a tattoo expo, everybody should know the protocol.
Etiquette. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you know.
It was insane.
It's just terrible.
I'm glad that nothing crazy happened. Could you imagine if she like, I don't know, like did like a slash,
yeah.
you know,
Oh,
or even
God.
like poke.
or poked me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. Anyways, crazy story.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
Theo was more mad than I was.
so angry.
Yeah, I would be.
I was so angry.
like, oh God. Well, I have a very hard question for you. What is your favorite tattoo that you have?
It's only really been recently that I've been getting like good tattoos off of like good artists, you know. Like I think when I was young I kind of just like got everything whenever. I have got a Lost Boys piece on my inside thigh, that
Oh wow.
yeah,
That's cool.
that my boss did for me.
That's,
That's
really,
really
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Really
really
happy
good.
with that.
Yeah.
Also getting my back at the moment. Like I've been waiting to get my back done for ages. I got one more session, which I'm really, really thankful for.
Nice.
And the script on my inner bicep. My best friend passed away like last year, and those last words that she ever said to me. So I got "Love you, kids" on my arm. So yeah, I guess that's like one of the most meaningful, I would say. But yeah, like I like all of my tattoos. I don't really regret any of them. Like sometimes, like I regret getting them done in the places that I've got them done because I'm like, oh, something looked really, really cool there. But yeah, like I wouldn't say I regret anything in particular. No, I would say yeah, I like all my tattoos.
I think that you did an amazing job today. You gave us so
Yeah.
much great information. I love that. Yeah, I love hearing about your journey from start to finish, or not finish, but start to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, start to continue, you know, all those things. But we'll tag you so that people can check out your
Yeah,
work.
perfect. Amazing,
Because, yeah,
thank you.
it's amazing.
Death Tap.
Yeah, you're based in Southeast London. And, yeah,
Cool. And
amazing.
there it is.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming to
having
our
me.
flat.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Yeah.